Today I just want to jam. So I've got my Fender jazz bass, I've got the Roland P-6, and I've got the Line 6 HX Stomp, and I'm gonna sample the bass with the help of the HX Stomp, create some kind of groove, and then I'm gonna take out my Les Paul and play over it. Had a band practice the other night. It went pretty well, and it just reminded me how much I love just jamming and playing in the groove. And as much as I want to dive deeper into this thing, it's also important to have some fun. And a lot of the people who comment and watch this channel frequently are musicians similar to myself who play at real instruments and like to experiment with instruments and samplers together. And especially on my MPC content, I got a lot of feedback saying that, you know, there's not a lot of people making videos where they're like playing instruments into the MPC One Plus. And, you know, I don't see as much content with this thing, even though it's brand new. I did see like Ricky Tinez and some other people, you know, play a keyboard chord and sample that into it. But yeah, I'm gonna sample an entire bass line into it and see how it goes. Before I get into it, let me find this screenshot in my phone. I gotta give a shout out to Pop-Tart Pete too. Pop-Tart Pete taught me how to have a count in on the Roland P-6. And so he says, if you want to count in, hold Shift plus menu, turn the tempo knob until you see CNT.1, hit enter, and then set the count in to whatever you want. Keep it going, brother. Hey, shout out to you. And I think I'm going to do that a lot moving forward on this channel, because there's been some really helpful comments, and I really appreciate that, because YouTube comment sections, a lot of times it's a dumpster fire, and a lot of times it's just disingenuous people who don't even make music, and they're just consuming content, and they're just kind of leaving pointless comments. Or, you know, it's people who are like barely able to scratch the surface of making music, and they're just leaving their opinions like vomit. But it's like, dude, go and learn how to make some music first, and then form your opinion, because like at this point you don't really deserve one. But let's get into making the music. Okay, here we are. We got the Roland P-6, and the way I have everything set up, I have my bass going into the HX Stomp. I've got a 1/4 inch coming out of the HX Stomp going into the input of the P-6. I'm going out of the P-6 and into my Bluetooth speaker. And I've got a patch that I call Bass Me. So there's an Ampeg Opticomp, and then there's a Kinky Boost, and then there's a Regal Bass DI, which for all you bass fanatics out there, this is an emulation of the Noble Bass DI, Noble 2 Bass DI, which is a celebrated bass DI that's very expensive. And the patch sounds like this. So we are gonna sample, but first let me zoom in a little bit and let's set this up. So right now I'm at 80 BPM. I think I'm gonna slow it down a little bit actually. That's a good speed. And I know from playing my bass line that it's two bars long, so I hit shift, I hit last, and I'm gonna change this to 32. That's 2 bars. All right. And so now I've got 2 bars of this going. Now, this is the tip that I heard earlier, shift, menu, control 1, hit enter. Right now I have it to the count in set to 4. So I think that's good. I'm gonna exit. And I am in bank A right now, so I've got and I'm gonna delete this because I'll never use it. So delete 6, delete. It's gone now. So we're gonna sample into it, and I hit delete to mute the microphone. So delete. What's this one? This is stereo. I'm gonna make this a mono sample. This is in. I forget what this means, but -3 dB. I'm gonna turn this. Yeah, -12 is good. Actually, I'm gonna bump this up a little bit because the bass is kind of loud. And what is this here? Maybe -18. And I want this crunchy, so I'm gonna do the lowest of the lo-fi. So I had to go back and make sure that this was set to free. And then we'll sample this. So, okay, we're all set up. I'm gonna sample the bass. I hit 6, I hit sampling, and now I gotta redo that. It's gonna normalize it. It took that in. All I have to do now is hit delete, 6, delete. Okay, now we hit sampling again. I'm gonna hit play to trigger the metronome. Now I'm gonna hit 6 again. Okay, it's normalizing. It's done. So now let's hit 6. All right, that sounds good to me. Okay, Les Paul's out. I've deleted another sample in the same bank, and I've set up the sampler. I've got the lo-fi this time set to 22 instead of 11 as far as the sampling bit depth or whatever. So it'll be a little crunchy, but not quite as crunchy as the bass. And I'm just gonna sample this simple arpeggio. We'll have it the same length as the other pattern, so I'm gonna start the metronome, hit 4, it's gonna normalize. Hopefully these are both in time. This is going to be really interesting. Let's hear what we got. Let's see if I can trigger them both at the same time. Okay, if I can do that while it's recording, then it'll be great. So I'm gonna put the guitar down for a second, and then we're gonna create a pattern. We'll bring the guitar back and do a little bit of soloing over it. Okay, so I've got my two samples. Here's the bass on 6. And here's the guitar on 4. The HX Stomp just sounds so good. It's like the perfect companion for something like this. So let's see if our count-in worked, and I'm gonna put down the bass first. So I'm gonna hit record, and here we go. It did work. It did work. So let me stop playing and stop recording. I'm gonna do this again. That seems to have worked. So the next thing to do is to record. All right, here we go. Okay, let's see how in time those are. I think they're okay. You know what? I'm gonna do the guitar again because I think I was a little bit behind on that. So how do I do that again? I believe I go to pattern, I go to shift, pad, hit 4. Yes, that was correct. Okay, I'm gonna do this again. Here we go. I think that's all right. So now we got to create some. Let's do that. Let's just lay down that pattern. I'll worry about the delay on the snare a little bit later. I can always turn it down in the mixer, but let's see if I like it actually. So. What I am going to do is turn the snare down a little bit. Let's see how that sounds. Yep, I'm going to add that. Here we go. Sounding cool. I'm gonna do some pan automation on the guitar. I always like to have rhythm guitar, arpeggiated guitar, do some auto panning. That's just a recording trick that I learned a long time ago. So let's do that. 4 is the sample. Okay. that's level. Auto pan, here's pan. And we're gonna play with we're gonna hit enter. Right now we're dead center, and I'm just gonna record it in. I'm not even gonna practice it first. Here we go. I don't know if you guys can tell, but that definitely frees up some stuff in the middle. So now I'm on the snare, and I'm actually gonna do something similar with the snare, but I'm gonna do it a little bit slower. So here we go. Okay. Now we're going to go back to that guitar, and I'm going to hit exit here. I'm going to turn to the delay send. I'm going to mess with the delay on the guitar. Let's do some reverb. Okay, let's see about the delay send on this snare. That's good. Let's see about the reverb on it. Actually, I'm going to turn the reverb up on that. I like it. Let's go to the kick and make sure there's no reverb on it. Get rid of it on the kick. I want that kick as punchy as possible. Let's go to the delay send. Yep, that's already on 0. Okay. Alright, yeah, we're good. And let's exit out of here. Okay, I'm gonna turn the guitar volume down. Les Paul JC-40. Second try. Camera shut off the first time, so my fingers are crossed. Let's go. was pretty fun. Just another way that the Roland P-6 is fun. It really is a good jam companion. Being able to set the threshold and set up the way that you sample is really good. Like, you just kind of turn it on and set where you want your threshold to be, and then you don't have to worry about holding something down. You know, when I was using the Medieval, I hate to keep harping on the Medieval, but it's the most recent new sampler that I have to compare this thing to. And the unfairness of comparing this to the MPC One Plus, now that you get into different categories, because like the closest used MPC One is twice the price of this thing. So now you're getting into ridiculous categories, and you can't compare the two of them. But what I will say about this is it's really fun. No, it doesn't have a song mode, so you're not going to create intricate songs on this. But, you know, it just depends, because something that'd be really easy to do would be to track out each of your 6 samples on this individually, and then you could layer them in a DAW and do whatever you wanted with those. I'm not necessarily planning on doing anything like that, but what I am planning on doing is figuring out something like today where everything is in the same bank, and just playing with the muting and playing with the effects and letting it run into my cassette machine, the Tascam Model 02, and then putting a guitar solo or a vocal or anything that I want over that, just to have fun. This is a really fun way to create music. Again, everybody that sent me the recommendations in the comments, there's one more person who I want to drop, because you've been very active with sending me these comments, and I really do appreciate it, is Eternal, spelled E-T-Y-R-N-A-L. And Eternal let me know about another hack that you can do with this thing, and that is you can put 6 different samples on each pad, and then if you put it in, I think it was chromatic mode, you can play those 6 samples on the keys. So you could put like an entire drum kit on one sample, and then that frees up the rest of the samples on the bank for you to do whatever you want with. And now all of a sudden we're not running into issues with those mutes. And now you can mute your entire drum section by just muting one pad instead of having to mute a whole group and doing that whole thing. So I am planning on playing with that. I got to go through the 4 or 5 things that I've created on the P6 so far and see if there's anything that I'm interested in keeping. And if I am, I'll track it out onto the Tascam Model 02. But, you know, the way that I created when I first got this thing, I didn't create with intention. And what I mean by creating with intention is what I did today, how I planned out the way that I was going to use the banks so that I didn't have to jump around with banks, even though I didn't end up messing with the mutes at all. If I did want to do that, or if I did want to track this out into the Model 02, it wouldn't be as big of a problem as I've had in the past. The first, I think, 4 things that I created on this, I didn't do that. So if I wanted to track those out, I'd have to go in with a pen and a piece of paper, mark down which bank each of the sounds I used was in, and then hope that I could be quick enough to trigger those the proper way to get what I wanted tracked out. I might have to just charge it to the game. You live and you learn. I've learned the machine a little bit better. But overall, this was fun. I'm not going to talk about it too much because this was just a jam. Not my best guitar work, but I had fun, and that's all I wanted to do. Had a stressful couple weeks, so I need to have as much fun as possible. Anybody a fan of the Stone Roses? I really felt like that little jam ended up sounding like a Stone Roses song. Not necessarily from the first album, maybe from Second Coming. Second Coming wasn't as big of a hit, but especially Breaking Down to Heaven, I think is the name of the first song on there, the really long one. It's got the drawn out intro. I love that song. That's one of my favorite Stone Roses songs, along with like Sally Cinnamon And of course I want to be adored. But yeah, that definitely gave me some Stone Roses vibes. I don't know if I'm going to put it in the comments because the obscure song references don't tend to catch all the basic bitches out there. So it doesn't really extend the reach. And yeah, unfortunately, that's the game we're playing. But thank you guys for watching. More on the P6 soon. More MPC One Plus stuff coming soon as well. I just want to kind of get as much out of this while it's fresh and while people are considering purchasing them as I can, because that's how the game works here on YouTube. But yeah, thank you for watching. Everybody that sent me a comment, sending me recommendations on what to do, obviously showing me how to get the count in. I really appreciate it because that just means less manual digging for me. And the manual for this thing is really annoying to interact with compared to the Teenage Engineering Medieval. So that's one area where the Medieval wins over the P6. It's got a better user manual experience, but